All right, let's just dive right into it. Today, we're unpacking Munshi Premchand's absolute classic, Bade Bhai Sahab, which translates to the elder brother. You know, we got a ton of requests asking for a complete explainer of this specific lesson with absolutely every single important point covered. Well, you asked, and we are delivering. Whether you're studying this for a class or you're just a massive fan of incredible literature, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the humor, the deep psychology, and the timeless wisdom hidden inside this dynamic between two very, very different brothers. So here is our roadmap for today. First, Prem Chand, Emperor of Stories. 2. Introduction, Burden of Ideals. 3. The nature of the two brothers. 4. The fear of studies. And finally, 5. The kite and the older brother. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Prem Chand, Emperor of Stories. Imagine the literary scene way back in the day, before Prem Chand, who was born in 1880 as Dhanpat Rai, by the way. Literature was mostly all about kings, queens, and high fantasy. It was escapism. But Prem Chand, he completely changed the game. He basically brought the camera down to the dusty streets. He focused on the common man, the struggling farmers, and, as we're going to see today, the very real, totally relatable dynamics of a normal middle-class family. I mean, the guy's legacy is just massive. He wrote absolute masterpieces like Godon, Gaban, and Karma Bhumi. Get this, his very first Urdu collection, Soz Watan, was literally banned by the British government for being too patriotic. No way, right? He also wrote hundreds of short stories collected in the 8 famous volumes of Mansarovar. He gave a voice to marginalized, suffering people, bringing them right into mainstream literature. And honestly, it's that exact keen eye for everyday human psychology that makes this story so ridiculously relatable. All right, moving right along to Section 2. Introduction, Burden of Ideals. Now this is where the story hits hard. Think about the older siblings you know. The core irony of this whole text is that the older brother sacrifices his own youth, literally gives it up, because he feels this immense, crushing pressure to be the perfect role model. Just because he's older doesn't mean he doesn't want to play, but he deliberately stifles his own childhood. He refuses to go out and play with boys his own age because he's terrified that if he slips up, his little brother will follow his bad example and be lost. He's basically become a prisoner of his own status. Which brings us to Section 3, Nature of the Two Brothers. You just have to love the contrasts between these two. It's like night and day. The older brother is 14 and in the 9th grade, and our narrator, the younger brother, is 9 and in the 5th grade. The older brother is obsessed with building a strong foundation for his education, which hilariously means he takes 2 or 3 years to pass a single grade. He studies 24/7, but his brain gets so fried that he resorts to doodling cats, dogs, and birds in the margins of his notebooks, or just writing random words like Radhashyam over and over. Meanwhile, the younger brother, he studies for maybe an hour, spends the entire rest of the day playing sports and flying kites, and somehow easily passes at the top of his class. It's equal parts hilarious and tragic. So, after getting chewed out for an entire hour by his older brother about wasting his life playing games, the younger brother is just drowning in guilt. He feels totally defeated. He decides right then and there that he is going to reform himself. He sits down to create this highly ambitious, super intense study plan to finally prove his worth. But look at this schedule. It is completely detached from reality. Wake up at 6, English till 8, math till 9, history, geography, grammar. It just goes on until late at night. Notice what's missing? 0 time for play, not a single minute. Now, making a timetable is one thing, right? Actually following it is a whole different ballgame. The very next day, within mere hours, the fresh air and the call of the playground completely destroy his grand plans. He sneaks out to play, and boom, the cycle of guilt and scolding starts all over again. Okay, let's jump to Section 4, the fear of studies. This is probably my favorite part. The older brother goes on this epic rant about how brutal and completely senseless the school curriculum is. He talks about the absolute absurdity of history class. He's like, there were 8 different kings named Henry. How on earth is a student supposed to remember which specific disaster happened under which specific Henry? Write Henry VIII instead of the 7th, and you get a fat 0. He rants about the dozens of Jameses and Williams, making his head spin. And geometry? Oh man. He complains that if you write a triangle as ACB instead of ABC, the examiners fail you on the spot. No mercy for logic, just mindless rote memorization. It's actually Prem Chand's incredibly sharp critique of the colonial education system.
To really hammer his point home, the older brother hits him with a harsh reality check. He tells the younger brother that passing exams by pure luck is like a blind man catching a quail. It's a fluke that only happens once. He says, if you want to waste your life and grandfather's hard-earned money like this, it's better to go home and play gully danda. Ouch, right? But here's the thing. This scolding is his way of showing deep love and concern, even though it leaves the younger brother crying and wanting to pack his bags and quit school entirely.
And that brings us to our final section, number 5, the kite and the older brother.
Picture this climax. Academic success is about to clash head-on with real-world wisdom. The younger brother passed his exams again, the older brother failed again, and now the age gap in their classes is down to just a single grade. The younger brother is feeling pretty arrogant at this point. He's out wildly chasing a drifting kite with a crowd of local boys, eyes glued to the sky, running recklessly with a bamboo stick. He's totally forgotten his status. And suddenly, out of nowhere, he bumps smack into his older brother, who's walking back from the market. This is the absolute mic drop moment of the story. The older brother grabs his hand and delivers this defining speech. He says, look, you might be just one grade behind me now. Next year, we might even be in the same exact class. But there is a 5-year gap in our ages, and not even God can erase that. He explains that knowing the history of kings or memorizing geometry means absolutely nothing compared to the practical wisdom of life. He points to their parents and grandparents. They might not have formal degrees, but they know how to manage a home and navigate real crises. The takeaway? Life experience commands eternal respect. He has the right to guide his younger brother, not because he's a better student, but simply because he's lived more life. And as the older brother finishes speaking, the younger brother's arrogant pride just shatters. He finally sees the immense love and fierce protection his elder sibling has been offering all along, and he bows his head in genuine respect. After that, they literally run after the kite together. So I want to leave you with this question to really chew on. What change actually came over the younger brother's behavior after passing that second time? It went from cocky arrogance to deep, lifelong reverence. Think about the older brothers in your own life and the invisible burdens they might be carrying for you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this complete breakdown of Prem Chand's masterpiece. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.